Hello, my name is Dr. I'm a rheumatologist who practices integrative medicine in Hawaii. Today, I'm going to talk about stress and anxiety management for autoimmune disease patients. So stress and anxiety, they're big components of health, especially in autoimmune disease patients. So autoimmune disease, they tend to flare during mentally stressful times, such as divorce or family death. And when body is stressed, body makes more of stress hormone called cortisol and inflammation hormones such as IL-6. So it makes sense that we feel worse when we're going through a mentally rough time. American College of Rheumatology released integrative treatment guideline for rheumatoid arthritis, and it recommends mind-body exercise. It didn't really specify exactly which type, but mind-body exercise generally includes things like yoga, tai chi, qigong, among others. So I want to talk about balance today. I've been studying acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. It's been really fun. So everybody knows about yin and yang concept. I want to talk about it here. Yin is represented by qualities like darkness, cold, winter, low energy. In Western terminology, it is consistent with parasympathetic nervous system, more like relaxation. Whereas in yang, it is represented by qualities like light, heat, summer, high energy. And in Western terminology, it is consistent with sympathetic nervous system, more like fight or flight. So we have a term called homeostasis, which is basically balance in Western term. So balance between sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, versus parasympathetic nervous system, relaxation is a key in health. We need to talk about chronic stress. In modern society, people live in chronic stress. We live in chronic fight or flight, basically sympathetic overload. In other words, our foot is on exhale pedal all the time, leading to energy depletion and eventually disease. So it requires energy to sustain balance in important body functions such as immune system, and we are out of balance and are depleting energy. It gets harder to sustain healthy function, and this will eventually lead to disease and dysfunction. So stressful situations trigger fight or flight reaction. Where does stress come from, by the way? So throughout existence of humankind, our ancestors lived around predators like tigers or snakes. All of your ancestors were really good at detecting threat. That's why you're here. Therefore, our brain evolved to detect threat over many generations. It is designed to help us survive, not to make us happy. So fight or flight is not a bad thing. It's a normal physiologic response to stress. For example, let's say a tiger is launching at you right now. We go into fight or flight mode, the emergency mode. Our heart rate goes up, breathing gets faster, and we get this pump of energy. We run away. Once we find security, shelter, we can cool down and achieve homeostasis again. In modern society, though, we don't have tigers anymore. But now social situations like sitting next to a mean colleague or mean boss push the same button that tigers used to push. So we have 2 million-year-old brain. Our brain has this threat detecting machine in this limbic system in our brain. So the threat detecting machine has outdated features that it often doesn't fit the modern lifestyle. I love this example from Dr. Joe Dispenza. Let's say we're sitting in a very stressful board meeting with your boss. Your boss is spitting out fire. Your entire body says, get me out of here, I feel threatened. And your brain may say, your logical part of your brain may say, what are you doing? Sit down, you have bills to pay. Then we have all these confusing messages going on in this entire body, and then we feel suffering. But the big difference is that unlike a tiger, your boss won't physically kill you. Our outdated threat detecting machine cannot distinguish between what can actually threat our survival versus non-lethal stressors like sitting next to a mean colleague or being in a stressful meeting with your boss. So what do? First step, we need to be aware that there's some outdated threat detecting machine in our brain and train ourselves to make our button smaller so that it gets triggered in situations that actually threaten your life rather than traffic on the way to yoga. When you feel stressed or anxious next time, close your eyes and ask yourself, what emotion am I feeling right now? Is there any reasonable evidence for me to feel this emotion? Or is this my outdated threat detecting machine sounding a false alarm? Ask that. Journaling in that moment is also a good idea because writing helps us organize thoughts while a hurricane is going through our minds. Once you know that there's no imminent danger to your life, logically understand that the next step is to work on your breathing. Breathing is linked to the core of our existence. How we breathe directly affects our physiology and mind. How do we breathe when we are stressed? Let me give you an extreme case. Let's say we are in a panic attack, extreme form of anxiety and stress. Breathing gets shallow, rapid, right? And through the mouth. The mouth breathing can give you short bursts of energy, like when you have to run away from a tiger. But this type of breathing cannot sustain healthy dose of oxygen for long term. So we're going to talk about a little bit of anatomy here. Our nostril, our nose, and nasal cavity. So they are an amazing filter for air that's coming in. We have hair and we have turbinates, all these layers with mucous membrane. They filter pathogens, germs, and pollutant and warm up the air to prepare it to be optimal for gas exchange in the lung. So what happens in the lung? We'll talk about a little bit of physiology here. I promise I'll make a point in the end. Once the air reaches the lung, this is what happens. We have oxygen delivery truck called red blood cells. They pick up oxygen from the lung and deliver to all the tissues in our body. Why do we need oxygen, by the way? Oxygen need to make energy called ATP, and carbon dioxide, CO2, is a byproduct of energy production. So let's say there are different towns in our body, all right? Here, all different towns of body. Wherever there are a lot of CO2 production means that they are making and using a lot of energy, high metabolic activity. That's where more of the O2 delivery is needed. So the oxygen delivery truck, there's certain signal they need to unload oxygen into towns. So carbon dioxide, CO2 level is the signal. It needs to be high enough to unload oxygen efficiently. This is a natural mechanism for our body to match supply and demand. Let's say there's Taylor Swift concert going on in your town right now. During the week, your town will consume way more food than usual, right? And the organizers will order a lot more food beforehand and during the event to match the supply. Body has ability to match supply and demand of oxygen just like that. What happens during panic attack? We breathe shallow and rapidly, right? We're bringing in oxygen, but with this fast breathing, we are removing a lot of CO2 with rapid exhalations, dropping CO2 level in our body, the entire body. During panic attack, no matter how fast we breathe, CO2 level in our blood is so low, our trucks doesn't have the signal to unload oxygen to tissues. So none of the towns are getting oxygen. They go into panic mode altogether. This is why during panic attack, people can faint because they don't get oxygen. What do we do when we have panic attacks? We breathe into a bag. Why? By breathing out into the bag, CO2 level goes up in that bag. By inhaling CO2-rich air, we increase CO2 level in our blood, helping oxygen truck unload oxygen to our tissues. That's the signal that oxygen truck needs, right? So long story short, this is why we have to learn proper breathing techniques to optimize oxygen delivery to your cells. There are many different breathing techniques. There are 4-7-8, box breathing, but no one is better than others. One thing in common is that they all focus on nose breathing, breathe through the nose, and many of them focus on abdominal breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing is another name. So in abdominal breathing, it triggers parasympathetic nervous system using vagus nerve, help you achieve relaxation. So the main thing is find what works for you and make it yours. Today, I want to talk to you about pranayama breathing. It came from yoga. I love yoga, by the way. It's known to balance left and right side of the brain and lets you optimize oxygen supply to your cells. So it utilizes the nasal breathing through the nose. And for abdominal breathing, if you're new, let me give you a short description. With abdominal breathing, with inhalation, you puff out your belly to help your lung expand all the way to bring oxygen into the deepest part of the lung on the bottom of the lungs, okay? It may take some practice. If it's difficult for you, imagine taking deep breath, bringing air into the deepest part of your lungs rather than using the top portions, as in panic attack type breathing, okay? So let me give you a little bit of mechanics first, and then we're gonna do it together, okay? We use right hand, thumb, and fourth finger. So initially, block your right nostril. We'll breathe in through left nose all the way. Breathe out through right nose all the way. Inhale through right. Exhale through left. Inhale through left nose. Exhale through right nose. During this time with inhalation, you'll be using the abdominal breathing, or try to breathe oxygen into the lowest part of the lung if you want to do lung breathing, okay? If you do it 3 to 5 reps, you will start noticing the calming, balancing effect, but you can do it longer. It is healthy for you. So let's do it together. Sit up straight. If you sit hunched over, our ribs and lungs cannot expand very well. So sit up straight. So right hand, thumb, and fourth finger. So block right nostril first. Breathe in through your left nostril. Puff up your belly all the way. Breathe out through your right nose. Inhale through right. Exhale through left. Inhale through left. Exhale through right. Inhale through left. Exhale through right. Inhale through left. Exhale through right. Okay. So next time you feel anxious or stressed, try this breathing method. Today we talked about stress in terms of evolutionary psychology and learned the breathing technique called pranayama breathing. These are 2 excellent tools to better deal with stress and anxiety. Tony Robbins says, quality of your life is determined by quality of your emotions. You want to minimize the time that you live in stressful, anxious state. I used to be a very anxious person. When my anxiety was triggered, I used to live there for the whole day. But with these new tools, I can shut it off in 10 to 15 minutes. The better you can handle your stress and anxiety, the better your body will feel. Body and mind, they are connected. Once you optimize your breathing, next step is incorporating meditation. I hope to discuss about mindfulness practice in the future. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.